Hello and welcome to Meet the Members. Today we're with Gen Z Talks, and very simply, we're going to meet each other, learn about what each other does and what we can do for each other within independent media. So without any further ado, Gen Z Talks, Denia, Estelle, introduce yourselves, tell us what you're about. Denia, let's start with you.
Well, hi, my name is Denia. I am the lifestyle and travel editor of Gen Z Talks. And I'm part of the team. There's a group of four of us, and we edit articles, create Instagram posts, write our own articles, make little videos, interviews. We're just a very multimedia platform.
Yeah, I guess we all have to be, don't we? Estelle,
Yeah.
how about yourself? What do you do within the team?
So I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Gen Z Talks, which means that I pretty much supervise everything. I'm constantly managing the content and making sure everyone's content looks up to scratch before it goes out, either on our Instagram or on our website. I also I'm in charge of getting funding and securing collaborations, partnerships, and basically just making sure that we grow. So we're not just a uni project, but we actually grow into a business that will one day hopefully make profit.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that is a great segue to the next question, which is, who are Gen Z Talks? What do you do, and what's your audience? What's your purpose?
I would say we are so I would say we're more than a magazine. I'll say we're definitely, like Dania said, a multimedia platform. We started off as a magazine, but the goal is to grow and to be able to create a platform that produces a mixture of podcasts, articles, and also, visual interviews and YouTube videos one day, like at some point. And we've started doing reels as well. Our focus is to shed light on issues, but particularly with an intersectional lens. So looking at the intersections of race, gender, disability, and focusing on human identity, and basically using that lens to highlight current affairs and social issues around the world.
Brilliant. And Denny, is that something, are there particular areas there that you're interested in or that you work on?
Yeah, definitely. I think all of the editors that are part of Gen Z, we are very, very passionate about social change, with a huge emphasis, as Estelle said, on race and gender. I think one thing I would say as well, I think we strive to be more than just a platform. We want to create a community that highlights things that aren't necessarily spoken about a lot in mass media, or are kind of overlooked or overshadowed. I think we really want to just bring people together, whether you're part of Gen Z or not. If you resonate with what we're saying, then you're part of the family, part of the team.
Well, that's good to hear, because I am very much not of Gen Z, but as can be told by the horrors that are on my skin under this light. But but it is really great to hear that that you're building your own voice for a generation that, quite similar to millennials, life expectancy and quality of life is expected to get worse rather than better. So do you talk about those kinds of issues as well, about how materially we're facing quite a lot of challenges, climate challenges, as you say, racial justice, homophobia and sexism, sort of all intertwined? These are the kind of topics you're covering?
Yeah, so we like to sort of, we explore these issues, but usually through first person articles, opinion articles. What we don't do as much of anymore is original journalism, interviews, which we're trying to start weaving into our content again. But we definitely look at, for example, Daniel recently wrote an article on veganism, sorry, not veganism, speciesism, and how that's an additional layer of the fight against all inequalities. So sort of tackling in climate change and environmentalism into the argument on race and gender inequalities as well. So yeah, we sort of like to talk about everything,
Mm-hmm. So but you say you're not producing as much original content. So what kinds of stuff are you doing instead? Are you replying to content out there, or what are you creating instead?
So by original journalism, what I mean is So, for example, I'm a student, and right now, obviously, I'm doing journalism. Much of what we do is news journalism. So I have to go out and find interviewees. We were doing that more at a point, I'd say, in 2021 as a magazine, but we haven't been doing that as much. We do a lot of opinion pieces and personal essays. So like our views on things, analyzing different issues from our own lens, or getting writers to do that and then putting that out on our website. But what I want us to start getting back into as well is actually interviewing Gen Z, because that would really like bring to life the whole Gen Z talks theme, which is literally what we're called. So we were doing that at a point. For example, we had an article out about what a few Gen Z women felt about the Girls' Night In campaign in Leeds. There was a Girls' Night In campaign which was tackling spiking in nightclubs. So we interviewed 3 or 4 young women, like students, about, you know, how this makes them feel, how safe they feel now going out at night, going to clubs. So things like that. Like I want to get back that, like, you know, tendency for original journalism, so we have a mixture both of just like, you know, personal essays and also researched essays as well.
Okay, brilliant. So 3 more questions. One is about how you fund yourself. So I guess you're mostly working as volunteers who are students doing student work. Is that right, Dania? That's a big nod of the head there. But there's a hope to fund yourselves a different way in the future. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So at the moment, we don't have any profit coming in. All of our funding has been through crowdfunding. So literally just family and friends who believe in our vision and who supported us. And also I've managed to get some funding through my own personal like endeavors. Like I did this program when I was like in secondary school in 6th form, and then I applied for this like round of funding, and I managed to get some funding for that as well. So yeah, we sort of crowdfunding and, you know, other like grants and things, but we've been applying for more creative grants, so hopefully we get some more funding soon. But yeah, the goal eventually is to actually have like actual revenue, not just relying on grants and crowdfunding, but to actually have our subscribers supporting us.
Right. Okay, brilliant. So that's what I was going to come on to and just double check on that. So you have that sort of aim to have subscribers and so forth like that. So what advice or support would you like from other independent media, especially other IMA members? I'm guessing maybe a little bit around building good donor programs and stuff, but yeah, so anything else? I'm going to just direct that one to Denia. What kind of advice and support would you like from other independent media?
So yeah, obviously, as you said, we definitely need some support in just gaining funding and how to go about that. I think as well, just the general training to do with media, like editing things and putting videos together. I've managed to kind of self-teach myself to do that, but I think it would be nice to have the support from people who actually know what they're doing, to just kind of refine what we produce. Yeah, and I think just collaborating and speaking with like-minded people who are who have their own independent media platforms, because we can just bounce off ideas and, oh, you had that issue too, or how did you solve that, like, and just teamwork basically. I think when the IMA came to us, we were like, oh my gosh, like we found a family, like almost like we've been like adopted. So yeah.
Again, making me feel old. That's great. How about you, Estelle? What advice or support would you like to see from other independent media?
Yeah, sort of similar to what Dee said. I think it would be nice to just have more of like a grounding in the media industry. So IMA is like, you know, our first sort of experience of, you know, having that sort of connection with other organizations and seeing what they're doing, and also look at how they're getting funding, who they're getting funding from. So what are they applying to, like how are they, or what kind of organizations or companies are they partnering with? So that's another way that we want to get funding, not just subscriptions. Oh my goodness, can't speak. Not just for our subscribers, but also through partnerships. So for example, I know there's Gowden magazine, their first ever bit of funding came from a partnership with Spotify. So things like that, you know, so like our goal is to keep growing our audience to the point where, you know, you can't not notice us, and then that's when, you know, larger companies want to start using you as a way to advertise their content, and that's how, you know, fruitful partnerships form. So more advice on how to secure partnerships, basically. Yeah.
Sure. And just to be clear, though, just as the Independent Media Association, we're always looking to make sure that partnerships are ethical and not from sort of the kinds of corporations that we should be scrutinizing. So we'll hopefully be able to help guide those discussions and explorations. And there's great organizations like Ethical Consumer and other ones that can really help navigate those waters. And so final question. What advice or support do you think you can give to the other independent media? Because I can tell you now that there's very few members of your generation that are producing media that are within the association, and we're really glad to see you as part of the association. I think you might underestimate how much you can actually bring to the table. So do you have any ideas in your head of what you think you could bring to other members in the IMA?
Did you want to go first?
Sure. I think maybe I think we bring a more holistic perspective of the world, potentially. Maybe just considering different perspectives, just bringing that Gen Z perspective into something, and it might be the same as, you know, boomers and millennials. It might be slightly different. Yeah, I'm not too sure what we can bring.
Yeah, that's okay. I know this one's a tough one. And I didn't fully prepare you for it, but that's why I wanted to say, like, I think you're not going to know what it is that you're going to be able to bring, but it is exactly that, like, perspectives, experience, a different look forward to the future, and different interactions with, like, how social media works, how you work with subscribers, how you interact with your audience or build a community. You're going to probably think about these things differently because, you know, people from my generation, I'm very much an elder millennial, grew up pre-internet, for instance, you know, so like everything's always kind of new. We're not digital natives, and you'll probably be doing things that you think are normal that we don't, you know. But Estelle, I'll bring you in on that.
Yeah, so yeah, I have a lot to say on this, actually. I believe that as Gen Zs, we have a very sort of unique perspective of the world. I won't say unique, but different perspective, shall I say. And like you said, you know, we are, I think, the youngest members of the IMA. So like you said, that emphasis on audience engagement, I think that's what a lot of older media organizations don't have as much. Like, they think about traditional readership, you know, who's reading these articles, but they don't think about social media platforms as much. And for example, things like TikTok, using TikTok for journalism. TikTok is now a really, really effective way to get content out there. And rather than, I think, because media's always been quite elitist historically, I think naturally organizations with a lot of older journalists sort of inherit that legacy. Whereas I think for a lot of young journalists nowadays, we can use media, social media, to sort of democratize media and make it more accessible. Like, I find a lot of really cool vice journalists on TikTok sharing really, really amazing information that Gen Zs wouldn't hear otherwise, because we're not looking at as many of the legacy media publications, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely finding a way to democratize media and making it accessible for young people and people of all demographics as well.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, then, we're going to round it all up. I'm just going to say to the audience, anyone who's watching this, that the Media Democracy Festival is on, I think, the Saturday, the 25th of March. I'm going to say it's the 25th. And please do come there. The IMA is going to have its general meeting there, but hopefully we'll meet people like Gen Z Talks, but there'll be lots of other independent media organizations and media reform organizations talking about these very issues. How do we change media? How do we democratize it? How do we make it not only accessible to all, but engaging, exciting, thrilling, and most importantly, empowering to actually create the change that we need to see in the world? That's what I think we see the mission of independent media being, and what we're here to support make happen. So please do get in touch with the IMA if you've got any questions or queries, and do get in touch with Gen Z Talks if you want to support their project. The link will be in the bio and all of that good stuff, but you can also just Google Gen Z Talks. Thank you so much, Estelle and Denia. It's so great of you to join us today, and I'll catch you soon, definitely. All right.
Thank you very much for having us. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you too. Cheers.
Thank you
See
so
soon.
much, Tom.
Bye.
Take care.